The only thing I tend to do is follow my curiosity, and that can go in any direction. Sometimes, and I don't really concern myself with what it is I do, what the genre is. I just raise questions, try to find answers, and sometimes that results in an article for a newspaper or a magazine, and sometimes that results in a non-fiction work, and mostly in novels. That's remains my favorite genre. Although in the last 2 years I've been writing on my first larger non-fiction book about fear, how, what that is, how it works. So last 2 years have been slightly tilted towards non-fiction more than before. But for me, how did it evolve? I was studying history and I felt trapped by the confines of the truth. So I was writing essays about historic periods or people that interested me or didn't interest me. I felt like I was writing in a very confined way. I was writing what other people, my teachers, wanted me to write and say. So for me, literature and fiction has always been a means to escape, to feel totally free. For me, fiction is the only domain in which I feel totally free. So literature is for me the normal path the normal path that belongs to finding more and more freedom. And how did it evolve technically? I started out by doing interviews. I was interviewing mainly writers when I was 23 while studying history, and those interviews were picked up. Nobody was really doing that at the time, and they were very old writers, so it happened 3 or 4 times that I did the last interview with a famous Dutch writer, and those interviews were being noticed, and I won a major award for those interviews, and that's how it all got started. But for me, journalism it always feels like research for a novel, even when that novel doesn't come into fruition. It is a thing I do, the larger topics, for better or for worse. It's quite an unusual thing to do in Holland. We tend to like small and concentrated stories. So that's one of the reasons that my work has been picked up abroad too, I think. Even more so than in Holland with certain books. And what struck me was that in the 90s, no one talked about the Second World War, no one talked about the Holocaust. But when I was in my 20s, as political tensions around the world rose, so that tension was for me very interesting. So I formulated this idea, this story about a man, Abel Kaplan, who was so obsessed with doing the right thing by the standards from the 40s and 50s from the war, but trying to implement them in the present. So it's a sort of a moral expedition into the lessons of good and evil which we were taught, and finding out whether they have any worth in today's world.